Hi everyone. This is part of my treasure book series, and the book I'm about to talk about is one of the treasure books. It's not a cookbook, it's a book about cuisine and about the astonishing changes that happened once the old world met the new world and all the ramifications that occurred after that. This is a book called Why We Eat, What We Eat by the masterful Raymond Sokolov. I got this book in 1991. It transformed my cooking. It gave me a sense of freedom that I hadn't really known I could follow before. My instincts were there, but Mr. Sokolov's elegant, so smart, erudite, scholarly writing. I mean, sometimes I had to pull a dictionary out to understand some of the things that he wrote, but he made it lively. And the subtitle, How the encounter between the new world and the old world changed the way everyone on the planet eats. This is one of those books, Bible books, the schooling books, what became part of my culinary education. Now, it was not and is not dry. Sokolov wrote this chapter title here, Columbus the Unwitting. In so many ways, this is true. So many things that are attributed to Columbus's arrival and what he brought back to the court of Spain. He didn't know what was getting into. The situation was just, there was nothing like it before. Of course, there were explorers that no doubt likely came here before Columbus. But Columbus's timing was good, I would say that, in that the transoceanic voyages that followed in his footsteps transformed the planet, as Mr. Sokolov writes. And he talks about change in this particular paragraph here that I've underlined and highlighted. He writes, make no mistake about it. The great preponderance of the evidence argues against permanence in anybody's food heritage. We have all grown up believing in the principle of culinary authenticity and tradition as an axiom of human civilization, but the norm around the world has been change, innovation. We probably do recognize finally that things that came from the New World didn't exist in the Old World before Columbus and the other explorers and then traders that came after that. Tomatoes and chilies and chocolate and vanilla, and the list goes on of things were not in the cuisine of the Old World prior to this cross-pollination of ideas that happened after Columbus's time. It's a book that if you care about the thinking that goes on in cuisine, you would love to have. And I hope that you'll find it. It's just line after line. I mean, what did I underline in 1991? Perhaps no food better exemplifies this circumglobal aspect of Caribbean gastronomy than salt cod. The salt cod fritters that I grew up eating that my mother made for us. She was Scotch-Irish. I'm Scotch-Irish, primarily. She had, I don't know how she came up with this thing where she knew how to make salt cod fritters. Probably a friend in the restaurant business. Talks about Elizabeth Lambert Ortiz. This is a person I will certainly do treasure books on because she taught me so much. There was almost nothing written about, in the United States anyway, about Caribbean cooking when I was a young cook coming up in Key West. Her book, The Complete Book of Caribbean Cooking, 1973, shortly after I began cooking, actually. She talks about Stamp and Go in Jamaica. Oh, it just goes on and on. I wish I had hours to talk to you about it, but I don't. Perhaps these non-Chinese Asians also had pre-Columbian cuisine with a predilection for dramatic spice, but I think it makes more sense to see them as societies in eager, direct, and open contact with the trade opportunities brought in by European imperialism. Sichuan seems to have been particularly ready to accept novelties passing through it from the West. The peanut is another New World plant product that is now a signpost of Sichuanese cooking. It's a great book. It's a fantastic book. And here's a letter that was written to me by Mr. Sokolov that I stuck in this book. What's the date? April 14th, 1994. Thank you, Mr. Sokolov. Wherever you may be. Why We Eat What We Eat. A great book. I'm sure you can find it online for much less than it's worth. Please avail yourself to this, and you'll find out what made my brain explode. Have a good one. Talk to you soon.